Sally Clarke, welcome
My own restaurant.
to your own restaurant. It's such a privilege that you've shared your time with us today in your home, restaurateur,
Thank you.
writer, cook.
Not chef.
All of the titles you could add to all the things you end up doing. Each day, we were talking about how every day is so different for you. We're in your home today. How would you describe your wonderful restaurant?
Family business, very much. The staff that I work with, I treat as brothers and sisters, I hope. And to a certain degree, our customers too. And over 41 years, we've met quite a few. And in fact, I think it's probably fair to say that we're serving the grandchildren of some of our original customers. So it has got a very familiar feel to it.
And this restaurant in Notting Hill, London, is iconic to so many and a real institution. How would you describe it to people who haven't been here yet?
Unique. We're not part of a chain. There are a lot of things that we do here, Clarke's style or Clarke's taste, that you couldn't find anywhere else. I think our style of hospitality is similar but different to other restaurateurs in our realm. The style of food started off being probably Provençal / California. A lot of char grilling, lots of beautiful salads, lots of roasted vegetables. But that was 40 years ago. I think over the years we've evolved, and now I definitely think we have more of an Italian vein to our menus, but with a grounding of France, maybe a little Spanish, but with the focus on sourcing our ingredients from Britain whenever we can. Obviously, at this time of year, in the winter months, it's not all that easy, but certainly spring, summer, early autumn, we're buying almost 100% of our ingredients from Britain.
And it must be exposing, in some senses, having your own restaurant, in that so much of it, all these details are a reflection of you. But in many ways, that's exciting because all those expressions offer so many opportunities. Can you relate to that?
Yes, I can, although that also puts an awful lot of pressure on me as well. There is, I think, a lot of pressure on me personally because some people expect to see me all the time, which is very nice, very flattering, but the place works perfectly well without me. Yeah. And over recent years, I've certainly started to take more and more time off, and I drift in at 9:30 instead of 7:30 in the morning and leave at just as dinner's starting to roll rather than staying until the kitchen porters are leaving as well. But it is a personal business and it is my baby. And I think it's important to me to meet and greet guests coming through the door and to, as importantly, to say goodbye to them when they leave as well. So I think I'm still needed a little bit.
Yeah. And you celebrated your 40th anniversary.
41st, actually, last December.
41st?
Yes.
In that time, the world has changed so much.
Hasn't it?
For you, do you like tweaking all these small things about the restaurant?
Every day. Every day.
Give us an idea, because there are a number of things you're having to think about. So many things, from the cutlery to the sound. The paint supply has changed and you can't replace the paint colour. All of these things.
Yeah, this we call the garden room, and we created this about 10 years ago when our shop, which was next door to the restaurant originally, was moved over the road. And this is another beautiful Pharaoh and Ball paint colour, but it's just one tone different to the main dining room, because we felt that we wanted to make this room just a little bit more, not clubby, but a little bit more enveloping, perhaps. We've got Lucian Freud etchings on the wall, and some people call it the garden room because we've got a view of our flat roof. And we've just moved on to the most beautiful china for our tables from Ginori in Florence, and it's just, after 40 years, I think we've probably changed our crockery 3 times. And this is just the sort of final refinement, I think. So we're now where we should be.
There must be a few people whose judgment and things that they notice that they see you really look for.
Yeah, those are the most important people to me. And it's interesting, just 3 or 4 people in the last week have noticed that we've changed the plates. It's not to say that others aren't observant, but I think there are certain people in the world that catch on to those sort of finer details, and it's very flattering that they notice.
Yeah. And give us an idea of the kind of hidden joy of having your own restaurant amongst all these.
I don't think there's any hidden joy, there's hidden pain. Huge amount of pain. I've always said that my customers are my greatest thrill and my greatest aggravation, depending on who they are.
Yeah.
And same with my staff. Staff can be a joy, but then once in 10 or 5 or 8 years, there might be one that drives you to distraction. But there are very few customers that upset us. We can spot someone walking across the street heading for our front door. Paul, my restaurant manager, who's been with me about 35 years, and I will spy them, and we know that they've either had an argument in the car on the way here or something dreadful's happening, and they're just not wanting to have a good time. But it's our job to make sure that we change that attitude and that feeling, and we need to make sure that they leave with a spring in their step, happy as Larry.
That must pay back for you in so many unusual ways. Friendships, memories,
Yes.
people sharing such personal things with you. Tell us about
We've got couples who had their last dinner before their first baby was born, for example. They had dinner here and they went straight to the hospital. Or we've had beautiful lunches celebrating favourite customers' lives and almost wakes here. And people do feel very attached to what we have become and part of their lives, part of their family history, and it's very, I hate the word humbling, but it is really in a way.
Somewhat, we were talking about this being a home for you earlier, but for many people it's a sort of spiritual home in one sense or another, sharing these special moments, meeting these people that end up changing their lives.
Yes.
It's hard to capture how food brings us together and what it does for people.
The table does. It could be a platter of cheese and a hunk of bread and a glass of wine. It doesn't have to be a fully blown menu, but it's the embracing of the table and the conversations that can happen around that table. It's the art of hospitality. It's not necessarily the food itself, although that can be a very important part of it, but it could be a bowl of fruit, it could be the simplest thing, or it could be a 5-course menu. But it's the coming together around the table and the breaking of bread, whatever it is, that is so important.
I watched a video in preparation for this interview of a man talking about the wonderful restaurant in California that you worked in.
Chez Panisse, the best restaurant in the world. Everybody has to go there.
And really movingly, clearly was a man who loved his food, and he was talking with Alice about how at the end of the meal they were given 3 dates.
Yeah.
And it just changed his whole world.
Yeah, because they were the most perfect dates. They were smacking of the season. They were perfectly ripe. They were served in the most, I don't know this video, but I've eaten enough dates at Chez Panisse to fill a book.
Yeah.
In the most beautiful copper dish with perhaps a grape leaf underneath it. But those fruits are chosen specifically for that meal, not just that season, for that particular meal, for that particular day, for that weather. And that's what I tried desperately to do with our menus. I have Alice sitting on my shoulder every day, Alice Waters, who founded Chez Panisse over 50 years ago now. And she's still very much a presence there. She's in her early 80s. The restaurant's packed every day, and the team that she has working with her are part of her.
How would you describe the privilege? I know there's so many challenges, particularly today, with having a restaurant. How would you describe the privilege to you that you feel around being able to distribute and be connected to all of the things you're connected to through this?
I think it's the art of hospitality. It is a very giving thing, and I think that is a privilege to be able to present, for me, a perfectly balanced menu, and to serve it in the way that we do here. You were asking before about how we differ perhaps from our other restaurants, but I think the Clarke style of service is that we do look at each table as an individual. It could be a man meeting his future mother-in-law for the first time. It could be a business meeting. It could be friends who haven't seen each other for years and years, but each table needs to be addressed by the waiter in a slightly different way. An American tourist couple might want to be chatted to all through the evening, whereas business colleagues probably don't want to be bothered with any chat at the table. So we need to take each and every table as an individual and treat them correctly.
Sometimes the world feels like things are related to sort of serendipity. Has that played a part in your life?
Yes, I think it probably has. I loved cooking at school, but I failed my cookery O-level, I think. But I also loved music, and I think I could have equally have enjoyed a career either singing or in music in some form. But when I was 12 and a half, I was desperately keen to earn money for a horse riding holiday, and my mother suggested that I went to work for an outside catering company that she knew very well. And it was through that I was introduced to cooking on a big scale. And from there, after school, I went to cooking school. And from there, I went to Paris, to the Cordon Bleu school, where I just caught the bug, the food and wine and sitting around a table bug. And I think probably my life could have gone in 5 different directions, but to go down the restaurant route, I think stemmed from each little step of the way from there.
Yeah, interesting how, because I think for young people, there's an amazing quote which is, things only make sense looking back, the dots all join up only when you look back at them. There's so many expressions, and even in this room you've got these beautiful flower pots, and I'm looking at these glasses here.
Yes. We had these made in 2014 to celebrate our 30th. And Alice Waters happened to be in London around the same time, and I decided to do a charity event to raise money for her Edible Schoolyard Foundation. And we had these glasses made for her in the same style that they have at Chez Panisse. And I loved them so much that we decided to keep them on the table ever since. So we still have them, but they're very special.
Yeah, that's so special. Even looking at them, you feel like very weighty. This is a glass to appreciate. It's a sort of reflection of, when you think of your restaurant, it's a very special place to eat. It's a place to celebrate anniversaries. If you're lucky enough to go more, then it's the one. In a way, the glass is a reflection of that. You're here in somewhere special, and it's almost like when you walk in this place, you feel it.
Did you?
Yeah, when I first went in here, I thought, wow, this is an establishment. This is something great. This is something special. Before you see the prices and the pride you take on the front, there must be some messages that you push through into your team here through the food that you like pushing in rooms, in places? What are the messages you like to push on people?
I think it's important to say that we're not necessarily a special occasion restaurant. I hope that we haven't become that. I think in the very old days, you might not remember because you're too young, but we had a set menu in the evenings with no choice for the first 20, 25 years. And I felt at the tail end of that we had become a bit of a special occasion restaurant, and people would book months in advance to come to us. And the reason why I stopped the set menu in the evening was mainly to encourage people to come just if they were walking by, or if they just happened to be in the area and phoned us up at the last minute. And I felt that I wanted the restaurant to go back to a sort of, not casual, but at least somewhere that people felt comfortable just coming in to have 1 or 2 courses and a glass of wine, and not having to feel that they needed to make a huge thing of it. They could pop in at 6 o'clock and be gone by 7:30, rather than make a big thing of it. And I think in a way that's where we are now. We have a lot of regular customers who, some of them come once or twice a week, who might live locally. But I also call regular customers those who are living in California or Australia or the Middle East, who come whenever they're in London. They're still regulars to us because we know them and they love us. It's part of their sort of London list, if you will.
It must be quite unusual when you meet people you feel a nice connection with, in that sometimes you want to understand so much about them and kind of who they are, and if any way stay connected, as it were. And some people you end up forming that friendship, and others they'll walk out the door, you might not see them again for a very long time. What's that like? That's, in some ways it's transient.
Well, it is true. Some of our customers we've known for so long now that they have become part of the family. And in fact, the last book I wrote, and it will be my last, my 4th book, is a sort of a collation of ex-customers, present customers, ex-staff, present staff, suppliers, people in the hospitality industry, and I've woven in their stories, as it were. And I know my staff like to call familiar customers by their first names. I tend not to approve of that. I like to call them by their title. But I think my team, most of the managers have been with me 10, 20 years or more. They feel very familiar with so many of them, and I think it's very nice for both sides, actually.
There's so many parts of your world that are fascinating in so many ways, the supply chain and the operations, the team, what's going on in their lives. Do you feel like one of those or another world, as it were, doesn't get enough of the light and is so fascinating?
I think suppliers are definitely getting more and more known within our industry. When I opened it in '84, it was very unusual to write on the menu the name of the farm that the apples came from, or the venison, or whatever it was. I don't even think that the country of origin was often used. But I think that's something I learnt from Alice Waters and from my 4 to 5 years in California, that it is important to make a statement and to celebrate the farmers and the fishermen or whoever it is, and we still do to this day. Even my 97-year-old mother, who picks herbs at the weekend for us for the following week, I still write Sheila's rosemary on the menu with the veal because it's come from her garden. I think it's important to celebrate that.
Of the countless things you do each day, are there some particular things that bring you, from the outside, maybe unexpected joy? It's seeing someone walk in and then maybe seeing how their facial expressions change when they walk out, or someone's reaction to something.
It embarrasses me sometimes when people come through the door and I'm taking their coat, which is one of my favourite jobs, or taking them to the table, and then they say, Are you the Sally Clarke? Yeah. It's not that big a deal, it really isn't, but to them it somehow is. But one of my greatest joys of the day is writing the menus, really. We change the menu every lunch, every dinner is different. It might be very similar within the week or within the season, but the rosemary might be on the veal chop for lunch today, but we might have the rosemary on something else tonight, or the blood oranges might be in a salad for lunch, but they might be roasted with something in the evening for the main course. So every menu can change, and my joy, I think, is getting the balance of the sound of the menu, the length of the lines, this sound, the way that the words work together, and I think that's one of my favourite charms.
Thank you so much for sharing
because that piece of paper that the customer has delivered as soon as they sit down is such an important document.
Yeah.
It sets, yes, the smile at the door and the greeting and how lovely to see you and what's your name and how many are you and all that sort of thing is one thing, but once they're seated and they're presented with the wine list and the cocktail list and the menu, that's setting the scene for their evening, their lunch.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and that's such a amazing, revealing insight into real joy for you that you get every day.
It's not only just me sitting at a computer and doing it, it's talking to the chefs, talking to the pastry cook and finding out what the suppliers have been delivering and looking at the turbot when it arrives, thinking, wow, where's that from? Is it Scotland or is it Cornwall today? And it is an important part of setting the stage for me.
Because from the outside, it's hard, and I don't blame people and I don't blame myself for not fully understanding and appreciating all those details, but these are the details that it's your profession. Even the paper type matters hugely for you. And
yes, we
all
use
these
paper
things.
that's made from algae dredged from the Venetian lagoon. I should probably write that on the menu too, actually.
Yeah.
But our wonderful designer, Simon Rendell, had sourced this fabulous paper for us many years ago, and we're still using it now.
That's so fascinating. It's almost, I feel that so many people would love to follow you on the journey in a day with Sally and just hear about all these small little details. That mint, for example, I take it as mint. Do you know
mint,
about that mint?
Mint and ginger. I'm sorry to say I don't know where the mint is from at this time of year in February. I'm not sure. But we always have fresh mint and fresh sliced ginger on our tisane menu.
You've given us this a flavour of the different people that come in here. There's an amazing story. So Lucian Freud lived next door, and there's an amazing story, which you'll know, of him.
Thanks to your uncle, we know him very well.
Yeah, what you have here will be the main calling for him, but an amazing story of him covered in paint, not looking, let's call it smart, eating away, and then having someone remark about him being in the restaurant, what's he doing in here, type thing,
yes.
And then he grabbed a bit of bread, broke it, and smacked the woman basically lightly.
It was actually in the shop that we had next door to the restaurant, and he was buying his daily bread and his bar of nougat that he managed to consume in one day, I think, normally, every day. But he'd picked up the baguette, and there was a very Kensington lady of a certain age also doing her shopping, and she, in a stage whisper, said to the girl behind the counter, "You really shouldn't allow scruffy people like this to touch the bread," which of course he heard, and so as she walked out he whacked her behind on the backside with his baguette.
A remarkable story. What was it like? Because I think you sat for a few paintings for him.
I sat for one painting, yes, and it took about 2 years. It was his last Head and Shoulders that he painted, and so it was very late in his life, so he was working very slowly.
A very niche experience in life to sit and
Nothing
be painted.
like it. Nothing like it.
Would times you talk and other times you'd be left to wander in your own mind?
There would be 90% of the time would be silence. Yeah. But then he needed to sit down and have breaks from time to time and more as time went on. And so we would chat and he would tell me stories of his wild youth and stuff.
What an eccentric man, and
wonderful man. Look at this
amazing etching.
Yeah.
Do you know what the name
this
of that
is Pluto, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think one of the marvels of humanity is you can get some real characters in the world in a fantastic way.
Aren't we lucky to have them?
Yeah, and people for sure express their character and nature with you, their sort of odd preferences, the way they integrate with the party, their jokes. Can you think of some quirky standout moments that you thought maybe it was a proposal or...
Oh, we had a proposal a couple of months ago, absolutely lovely. He had the gentleman spoke to Paul, my manager, a couple of weeks before the booking and told Paul exactly what he was going to do and how he was going to do it. And the day before the booking, he brought in the box with the ring, and we were allowed to hold on to it. And we were given very specific instructions to present this with the dessert. And when this happened, he went down on one knee, and luckily she said yes. But the whole dining room erupted. Nobody else knew other than Paul, but everybody saw what was going on, and they all stood up and cheered. It was absolutely amazing. Gorgeous.
And this will be a tale amongst thousands.
Yes. Yeah, because they'll all tell their friends, and their friends will pass. Yes, it will.
You know those little moments that lift your day? A smile, the sun coming out, or a piece of chocolate? Audrey's Chocolates have been handcrafting chocolate for over 70 years. Chocolate to die for. It comes in beautiful boxes that make for the perfect gift. Or bars of chocolate that feed daily joy. Discover your moment of joy by visiting audreyschocolates.co.uk and treat yourself to 10% off using the code TheCollective10.
Are there some... Can you think of other stories that are quite
we
wacky?
had one gentleman who came in just a few weeks ago, actually, and he said to the manager on duty, "I'm really sorry, I've had my phone and my credit card stolen. Would you mind if I came in and had lunch?" And as we knew him, he'd been to us at least 2 or 3 times before, we said, "Of course, that's no problem at all." And the manager did double check with me, and I said, "Yes, if you recognise him, if you know him." And apparently he'd ordered lovely things off the menu and lovely wines in the past, so there was no problem. Anyway, we are still waiting to this day for him to come back with the payment, so we've lost out on that one. And I think in the very early days, it was a young couple of chaps who came in for dinner, drank an awful lot, had a lovely time, but clearly one thought the other was paying and they both walked out. So we never recouped that. It does happen from time to time.
Yeah, and people are talking about a lot right now, and what one often gets is various things, remarking about political tension, which there's always going to be remarks around that, whatever year it is, whatever season it is.
Yeah.
It feels to me like humanity has this huge privilege of having probably the access to the best food that we've ever had at any point in history.
Yeah,
do you think
and
that's
safest
true?
Food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we not be celebrating that more?
Yeah, we should, of course. But I do feel that we in the Western world eat way too much. There's way too much waste. I love it when people say, "I'm really sorry, I can't eat all this, please may I take it home?" And if it's half a veal chop or whatever it might be, it'll make a perfect sandwich for the following day. But I think we are incredibly lucky to have the food that we do. But but the waste is unforgivable.
And fortunately, there are structures now that are improving, and organisations like the Feeders Project to support.
Yes, we've supported them for a long time, and it's a wonderful thing to be involved in.
Yeah. We're now going to move to the quick fire question. Someone is sad. What do you make them, food-wise?
Something comforting, a bowl of soup, a stew. Depends what the time of year is. If it's, I suppose it's easier to do it in the autumn, winter, early spring months when you just give them something, a big bowl of something warm and nourishing. Most important, so important. But also, it costs nothing to smile. Serve it with a smile.
Yeah. There are times when people get unusual kindness from strangers, and have you seen that? And has food been an example of that?
I remember in our first year, actually, a regular customer lost her husband of 50 years or something, and she came in very bravely by herself, because she'd always would eat with him, obviously, and my manageress at the time sat down with her and joined her in her meal to give her comfort and to give her company, and yeah, I think that was a courageous and lovely thing to do.
So unboring eggs.
Unboring.
If someone says to you they have eggs every day for breakfast,
yeah,
you know,
I've got a good egg story. We sell cackle bean eggs in the shop, and we use them often in the restaurant. And I had Alice Waters stay with me last year, actually. She was invited to a dinner with the King, and she came over for a few days, and her assistant said, could Alice stay with you for a few days? And I said, yes, no problem. Turned out to be 10 days, so I had 10 days of Alice Waters staying in my house. But every morning she has an egg, and she couldn't get over how beautiful these eggs were. And she still texts me now and say, I still remember those cackle bean eggs. But every day I felt I had to do something different for her. And I did.
That reminds me, someone has remarked about your chicken pies and how they're not available enough.
They aren't available enough, yes, they're quite right. But they are becoming more available now because we've got a system going. We're now producing them in our restaurant kitchen. But time is short and space is short. It's dependent on when the kitchen chefs can produce them. We've got a system going, and I think as of this week we're doing at least 10 or 15 or 16 per week, so we can make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
But they are the best. They are without a doubt the best.
The demands of being popular.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes. But it's the time it takes to make them, because we don't buy chicken legs and throw them in the oven to roast. We use whole chickens that are rubbed with olive oil and herbs, salt, pepper. Then they're roasted, then they're cooled, then they're taken off the bone. Then we make stock with the carcasses. Then we slice leeks by hand. Then we slice mushrooms by hand. Then we make a velouté sauce with the stock. Then we chill it all down, and then we take the pastry, and then we have to egg wash it, and then we sprinkle the thyme on the top and the sea salt.
Don't give away secrets.
I think a lot of people know the secret. It's quicker and easier to come into the shop and buy one.
And also, knowledge is one thing, execution is another. And we're speaking to the queen of execution. Speaking of execution, you're allowed to make one pasta dish.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, who would I want to execute? And I think that's a very obvious answer.
Oh, we can put that in.
No, I couldn't possibly. We don't talk politics at the table.
No, indeed.
But you know who I mean. Who should not be named. Anyway, move on.
Moving swiftly down the pasta aisle.
Down the pasta aisle,
into you're allowed to only serve one pasta dish.
One pasta dish.
In this restaurant, what would it be?
The one we've got on at the moment, which is with Cornish crab and chilli and a tiny bit of wild garlic leaf. And yum. What could be better? Lini, probably hand rolled, that they do every day. Either tagliolini or tagliatelle, they hand roll every day. Lots of egg yolks in that, by the way.
Do you have a most moving memory with food?
Probably got many. Maybe cooking with my son during COVID. That was pretty joyful. Weren't we lucky to have such sunny weather? All the doors were open, all the windows were open. I've still got the menus that we wrote together. Every lunch, every dinner was a different menu. That was pretty joyous.
You've got the most phenomenal shop next door.
We do. It was next door, it's now over the road. But we buy beautiful chocolates from Suffolk, from a company called B Chocolates, and we source Amy Poon's soy sauce, and we buy, what else do we buy? Lovely canned fish and shellfish from a young couple in the West Country called Sea Sisters. We do handpick a few things that we really love. We have our own label wines, our own label olive oil that we source from Corsini in Italy. But yes, we need to keep going with that. Some fabulous honeyed pecans, which we buy from a secret source in the UK, and we bag those up, and we can't get enough of those.
Yeah. Which ingredients would you travel far to get for yourself or for the restaurant?
Ideally, I'd like to get something near. I'll tell you, it's one fruit in California. I've never seen it anywhere else, and it's called a pluot. It's a cross between an apricot and a plum, and they're in season late summer, early autumn, and they are the most delicious fruit. I wish maybe next time I'm there I'll get a stone and try and grow it somewhere.
Yeah.
But yes, I'd go a mile and a half for a pluot.
And on your menu, we can see Cornish wild sea bass fillet with tagliashi, olives, and lemon.
Yeah. So a sort of an Italian twist on tapenade, really.
Yeah. Can you tell us about that dish?
We buy the sea bass in whole. They've usually been scaled for us because I can't bear the thought of having scales reaching the ceiling when they scrape them off. But we fillet that, trim it right way down, and then the individual portion is seared on the skin side down with a little bit of olive oil in a hot pan, and then flipped over, and then it's roasted in the oven until just done. And our chefs, Michele and Gab, are masters at cuisson, getting the right cooking temperature, doneness, so that by the time that piece of fish is on the plate, it's crisp on both sides, but it's also really juicy still on the inside. And then the tapenade is made with these Tadjeski olives, which are very roughly chopped, a little bit of lemon zest, olive oil, maybe some parsley or chives. Just very simple, and that's just piled on the top so that the customer can work out how much of the tapenade they want to use with each mouthful.
God, it's painful hearing about these foods.
Did you have lunch?
I did, and certainly triggering food.
Good.
Hunger.
Ideas for supper tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Inspiration that no further. Sally Clarke, here we go. 3 things that bring you joy.
Music. Particularly the human voice. I think in my next life I will do something with music. And good food. And hugs. I have a great friend, Natalie Elliott, whose late husband, Bill Granger, used to say that everyone needs a hug a day. Yeah. So I think that's, music, food, good food. Can't be any old food. And a hug. Yeah.
A mantra you want to embrace now?
Something about not looking at the news, or...
Okay, you're allowed to choose one thing that's in for you right now, one thing that's out.
In for me at the moment.
It could be a plant, it could be an attitude.
In for me is hellebores, probably. These ones are looking a bit tired, but hellebores, which we've got on the table at the moment. Yeah, everything needs to be in season, Clark's, including the table arrangement.
Yeah.
And out. Raspberries on a dessert in February have always been out for me, but I did see it I hasten to add, not here, in somebody else's restaurant recently, and I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Fantastic. We're going to show the listeners some images that I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
Just a few. The first 2 are of your dishes.
Yeah.
Listed on the Michelin website.
Yes.
Do you have any comments around?
No, I think they look rather good, don't they? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very lovely. No, that's morel mushrooms or sep, I think. So that is an autumnal dish with freshly rolled tagliatelle. And this salad has Western dairy ricotta underneath it with some beautiful balsamic dressing drizzled with tardivo and watercress leaves. And there must be some fruit in there, I think, somewhere that's hiding underneath, possibly a clementine. That's my portrait, my finished portrait, which is now hanging in a private collection in America. Two lovely customers own it, and they often come for dinner when they're in London.
How do you relate to the image? It looks like you're thinking about something.
I was thinking about a lot then, but every time he picked up his paintbrush and squeezed the red onto his palette, I thought, no, you're not going to do my cheeks. But I wasn't allowed to wear any makeup for the sitting, but that's how my cheeks looked to him. I don't think they were ever quite that bad.
And I noticed in your wine menu, this.
Beautiful. That's very beautiful, that.
Is there any story behind that?
That's his painting. I don't know what date that painting is, but the Mouton Rothschilders choose a different artist for most of their vintages, and this was chosen for the 2006 vintage.
Yeah.
And that's a very famous painting of his.
Has it been ordered this year, do you think, potentially, this bottle?
That's a good question. I could ask Paul. I don't think so. I think we sold one last year, but it is quite a lot of money.
Yeah. And this, you might notice, is what's on the menu of a certain restaurant.
Oh, how amazing.
Today.
That's so lovely. Oh, I could eat all of that and I haven't even seen it.
Chez Panisse.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that's their set menu this evening in their dining room on the ground floor. And every night they have a different set menu, and they have done for 50 years. Yeah. But what a beautiful menu.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I can picture it now.
Sally, thank you so much for everything today.
Can we go to Chez Panisse now?
Yeah, absolutely.
We could probably make it.
Yeah, it's
12 hours. We could make it by late service.
Late service?
Yeah. I try to go at least once a year.
Really?
Yeah, it's still my touchstone.
Yeah, and you think of it every day?
Oh, I think of her and it every day. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure.
Pleasure.